this meeting to order. We'll show that the only one missing is Peter. He is excused, so everybody else is here. Next is the September 21st, 2017 regular board meeting minutes. Any corrections or?
I would make a motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We got the September 19th, 2017 closed session committee of the whole meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
I have a real quick question. This has been bothering me for years. There's absolutely nothing on here except our names.
Right. If you had made any motions during closed session, those would be enclosed. And that was one of the questions that Jeannie asked tonight during the open meetings presentation.
I was just saying we got this.
And it was confirmed from my training that I had had and from our presenter here that legally all that you need to do is the who, where, what, when, why, and any motions that happen. So you don't have to have the discussion in there.
Okay.
One of the things I was told during training was that the more discussion that you disclose in here, the more options you have for people to question and make some trouble.
I think I probably missed it, but it doesn't, it just seems almost redundant that we need to approve something that says nothing.
Then we'll move on to September 21st, 2017 closed session board meeting minutes.
Also very stirring.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. And we got the September 25th, 2017 closed session committee of the whole meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Any agenda changes? None that I know of. Then we go to license permits.
One operator license, number 96, for Carrie Krause, I'm not sure which. This has received the police department's signature recommending approval.
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Well, we have no citizens here, so I'm assuming there's none signed up. Committee reports, library board.
That's me. After doing some projections, we realized we may have a little bit of an overage, and we are meeting on Tuesday to talk about some readjustments to our budget, and we don't expect this to impact the village budget at all, but we will get this fixed, and we'll have a better report after next Tuesday.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move right into new business. Otto Miller Athletic Field electrical upgrades.
Oh, that's me. The electrical conduits and wiring up there are starting to show their age. We have one pole that there's a light. I think you might have noticed it that night when you had your tournament. We have one pole, we just cannot find where the break is in the wiring. And every time we do find wiring, it's so brittle and rotten in the ground that it's shorting out. So what I'm looking for is to potentially use some of the Otto Miller reserve funds towards rewiring all the upper two diamonds, the light poles, the concession stand, not the concession stand, but the booths for keeping score, scoring booths. You got them out there. I want to rewire the whole works, and I've got a quote here. I'll pass this around. Anyways, to do everything up there and do it right, we're looking at over $20,000 to rewire the whole place with conduits and everything.
What about new lights?
Yeah, that does include lights.
Because that's probably, that's got to be costing a fortune just to run them.
Yeah. I would think someday we'd want to go to LED. I don't know what the technology is out there. It's got to be something better than metal halide.
I don't know.
It is. They're the best for light output, but they also consume a lot of electricity. So
And they're expensive as hell.
I'm not looking for approval on that tonight, but It's a project that would have to be done in the fall, whether it's this fall yet or next fall. And I don't know what the long-term future for the park is, whether or not we maintain management. There has been talk of youth sports maybe taking over management and assuming control of the day-to-day stuff. It would still be owned by the village, but I think regardless, we need to do something with the lighting up there.
I know we haven't come up with that level of where we get 3 quotes.
Well, this is just for informational purposes.
But I would suggest we probably get
That one, yeah, we probably put it up for,
more than a couple bids,
yeah.
or more than one, but I mean,
Like I said, it's getting late in the year.
everybody's busy as hell.
Everybody is busy. I think what we should do is maybe plan on doing this next fall, go out for bids early summer, get it ready for after youth sports and after the fireman tournament. They're usually the last ones to use it. And that'll give them 2 to 3 months to get it installed.
I'm assuming we have enough money in our...
We have $53,026 in there now. I think we'll have that same amount in there next year at this time. So. And there's probably a few other odds and ends that aren't showing up in there. Anyhow, I just want to bring that to your attention that it's not being ignored. It's just such a high ticket item that I'm trying to save up money for it and other stuff. So I'll probably be coming back next spring and looking for authorization on that. That's all I have.
Any further questions for Carl? Not, we'll move on to assessor contract for 2018, Bomar Appraisal, Inc. for $5,100.
We have been dealing with Bomar Appraisal for a number of years. We did go out for proposals on this one 3 years ago, and they came in to meet our lowest bidder. This was at $4,700. They've increased it to $5,100 with the amount of electronic reporting and the type of records that the state requires them to keep now. And we are recommending that we go with Bomar for 2018, 19, and 20.
Does the cost, I didn't read it, does the cost remain the same for those 3 years?
No, it rises slightly.
Okay, that's fine.
51, 52, 53,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to report of village office officials, administrators.
First one is 2018 village budget update. We are now within $116 of our levy cap. We utilize it for Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District. We just projected it as being the same total budget, but the village's share being higher because of our equalized value increase. And so I'm just telling you the only numbers that we have outstanding yet is the other one is the local aids or state aids for roads. We estimated it, and we think we estimated kind of conservatively, so we think it may come in, that's a revenue, we think that may come in at a little bit higher, so we think we'll end up being in a good position for that. And which kind of leads me into the other part is that it very much depends on rolling of 2017 budget in a lot of the departments for a lot of items. And one, we're going to have to tweak a little bit. We're hoping that these local road aids come in at a little bit higher than what we projected, because we will need some additional money in 2017 for the background check for the police chief. So with the roles that we have identified, we're all pretty confident in it, that it's not going to be a hardship. I mean, we're all pulling on the belt more, not making any purchases that aren't absolutely necessary, but we don't feel with the roles that we've identified that we're strapping ourselves. So we're $116.
Wow, that's really good.
So that's where we stand now, but again, it's the, once we get the final numbers on that, then we'll bring it back here and
Set a committee meeting.
Yeah, set a committee meeting and the public hearings and so forth. And I've already, in the past couple of meetings, I've identified the areas that we were targeting to cut. I mean, we have pretty much put on hold a lot of programs or projects, I should say. So the intent is that as the budget situation improves, which we're all pretty confident it's going to in 2019 and 2020 because of all of the development that's currently going on, that then we'll probably in 2019 identify those projects that we are okay with putting back in, prioritize them. I don't think they're all going to be coming back in 2019. I think we'll be closer to that in 2020.
Would it be something, and I'm not suggesting we do this until next spring, but it would be something that we should sit down with our, what was it? I can't think of it. The
Assessor?
No.
The auditor?
No,
Ellers?
our,
Financial?
when we sat down and we put all the priorities together on what needed to be done in the city.
Our CIP.
Strategic plan?
The strategic plan,
Oh.
goodness, thank you. We haven't really visited that in a long time.
We had talked about taking that up soon, I think, didn't we? I mean, a while back.
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
it. I mean, but if we're gonna be prioritizing, I think the strategic plan might be the place to start.
Yeah, I think that's something we certainly need to compare, what the projects are in relation to the strategic plan and where they fall, which goals and objectives the different programs and projects meet or
Right.
move forward, advance, yeah.
Because we really haven't touched base on that thing.
Absolutely, and we need to, it needs to be in alignment with the village's
What we want.
mission and vision.
I think we gave a mild update on department.
Yeah, but
parts of it.
but
We didn't sit down and discuss it at any length. I think you wanted to have a meeting just for that.
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea, again, let's get through budgeting and everything, but I think it would be wise of us to do that.
Especially for some of us who weren't on the board when the last strategic plan
Exactly.
was done, yeah.
I mean, just to
Well, first of all, before we move further on, I mean, I agree with you entirely. I assume you all have a copy of the strategic plan? I can email it to everybody so that you have it.
I know,
Okay.
Tracy handed me, I think, a
Yep.
paper copy
Yep.
when I first got up, yeah.
That's
I
a
will-
good idea. Get that out to everybody.
Yep. Okay. So that's kind of on the village budget update is we're in the home stretch. And
We're keeping this.
as I mentioned before, the health insurance and the HRA, all of that stuff for the employee health benefits, we voted on that, or I should say you voted on that last time, so we did move forward with that. And as I mentioned last time, is I notified all of the employees in advance a couple times, really going through and explaining what it's going to be, and I really have not heard any issues with that. I don't think you guys have either, so. On the hiring.
Did you want to add in about the grants you might be trying?
Oh, yes, thank you. As I've mentioned in the past, that a lot of the grants that are out there are typically more government grants, I mean, as in from a government, and we really don't qualify for those because usually they have a low to moderate income requirement for a percentage of the community, or else it requires certain job development. And we just don't do that. It just doesn't really apply for us. So what we have been working on is identifying the smaller foundations, private foundations that do not require, a combination of do not require a cash match, do not require that low to moderate income thresholds, or those employment barrier, those types of things. And we've been really trying to identify some of the foundations that are available out there for non-501c3s to apply to, and typically what I'm finding is that they range in value from $250, most of them are in the $250 to $2,500 range, and then there's some, I'd say big kahunas that are $5,000 and beyond. And so I just sent an email to all of the staff today. Carl and I first sat down and kind of identified some things that we were thinking about. What we're looking at doing is we're working on applying to these types of grants for projects that we can do in-house with our staff resources that are not any more burdensome on staff, but are things that I specified to the staff when I sent it around for ideas, things that are in the strategic plan that meet the village's vision and meet the 5 strategies that we have identified. And as I said, do not expend, have any more exhausting or anything on staff resources that we have the expertise and capacity to do. And so some of them that Kyle and I were kind of threw around as suggestions. And my point is, what we're trying to do is, because so much had to be cut from 2018, is we want to still have physical progress of things that are getting done. We always have the maintenance and everything, but it'd just be nice to still be able to have that physical progress. So some of the things that we're looking at is I'm applying for 2 AEDs and outdoor all-weather cabinets and the installation of them at the upper and lower diamonds at Otto Miller. I mean, that's an athletic field and we don't have accessible AEDs. The water bottle filling and pet watering station at the Memorial Square. Security cameras for both the AEDs that I'm proposing at Otto Miller and also one for downtown above the AED and one in Memorial Square. Fishing pier, retractable that we could build. We're looking for the construction on it. I've already applied for one with Home Depot that is for materials only. They give you up to a $5,000 gift card, and I put in for renovations to the Opera House kitchen. You're welcome. So, so we're kind of spattering and trying and just applying for as many of these as we can. Some of you may have heard me before the meeting started that with Walmart is an example, and I should say this so no other municipalities hear about it. Each Walmart store, so it's instead of the whole entire organization or the company, you can apply to each store that's within 30 miles of your community or where the project's going to take place. And then we actually identify which ones have budget, and those are for $250 to $2,500, and you can apply for every single one of them. So we're hitting up and applying for those kind of grants from these foundations, and as I said, I just want to make sure that you guys know so I don't scare you to death, is that we are making it the criteria that it does move forward with our the village's strategic plan, and those goals are identified. You led into this great for me, Kelly, thank you. And that it's as completely possible with our staff resources and expertise, and that it does not become any burdensome of additional work, so it's kind of things that we would try to do anyway. So that's what we're doing, is we're trying to hit up as many of those as we can, and a lot of them that we're finding right now have an application period between October and December, so we're hitting them up now. So if you guys have come up with any thoughts on some things you'd like to see done that meets those criteria, let us know, and we'll see if there's a grant that could apply for it, or that we could apply for. So that's what we're doing to help with the 2018 budget. Hiring a police chief, I heard back from our candidate, and he did request if it was possible to move the final interview date to the week of the 23rd because he had an issue come up at his current employment. So that would be easier for him if that was possible to be postponed. And I sent you the email directly from him where he explains exactly what it is. So I think it's completely understandable, and if we have the ability to do it, it would be obviously beneficial. So if you guys are open and available the 23rd, the week of the 23rd.
Would you be opposed to me just listening in conference call-wise, listening? I may be on vacation.
Yeah, that's it. Julie had gotten back to me that she'd be on vacation. I guess just personally my thought is I'd especially like to see Dawn and Peter be able to participate since they have not yet met the candidate. I figured that we may not get every single one of you, but I think it's great that at least you guys have all met the candidate.
Well, like I had told you earlier in the week, I don't know if I'll be around because of my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our vacation is not 100%, but if we do choose to go, I may just simply want to just listen in on the interview. But other than that.
Well, and Al, I don't mean to be personal, but is your sister, I mean, is it?
She lives in Seattle, and they were talking about putting her in hospice.
Okay, that's what I fear. I guess my question is, would it, if we're pushing it a week and 2 people aren't going to be here, would it make sense to push it maybe the week after? I suppose you
just don't know.
I'm not sure.
And his is hit or miss because he's working on weeks, identifying weeks where he has coverage and he's able to get away, so he's rather limited.
Okay.
With mine, I might be here, I might.
Right.
His circumstance sounded like if we pushed it back another week, it may even help him, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Right now, I can make, I personally can make you.
Is there a preference on what day of the week?
Monday or Tuesday works for me for that week.
I would rather
Okay.
do Tuesday.
You said you would rather Tuesday?
Yes.
And Dawn, you said any day as long as it's after 6:15?
I'm not here.
As long as it's after 5:45.
Okay, fine, okay. Monday or Tuesday, either preference?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Thursday's tough.
Yes, I was
Obviously, I get back
purposely avoiding Thursdays.
Thank you.
And I would also suggest if, you know,
Yeah, we're not 100% sure on
if
our,
it can be, I would be
I'd like
okay
to-
with pushing it a week if it helps Julie. So I don't know if that works for anybody else, but either Tuesday works for me.
we want to go, we're just, I think this is important, and I just,
Could we do, I mean,
Your family's important, I would,
I know, but
all right, well, I'll get back to him and I'll see that's a possibility and we'll go from there.
if I could conference in Kelly, I think I'd be okay. And I could say that yes, I was there, I listened, yeah.
okay.
And I've been working with Brian and Al on just the background check, so we're going to be moving forward with that as well, obviously. So that was and timetable we, don't know, obviously, because we still have this final interview, just scheduling that, but I still think, and again, like I had said before, I typically put this on here more for the benefit of the public than you guys, because you guys have been throughout the interviews and know what's going on with it, but I think it's reasonable that we would have them, an individual hired by the end of the year.
Are we talking about candidate number 1 or 2?
2.
Okay.
And
Because one I met, I was there that evening,
yes.
but I had to leave early.
And I told Dawn too, and yourself as well, if you'd like to call or stop in at any time if you want any of us to fill you in on why the choice was made as it was.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, and then number 3, the ADRC meal site, senior meal site. We are moving forward with that now. We've finally entered into contracts. That was kind of basically what happened is the contract got lost at the Allegheny County side. So there was some miscommunication. They thought that it was all set and we're moving forward, and we put a halt to it, saying not until we have a contract in place. So we do. Bob has reviewed it and everything's okay with it, so that has been executed. So they're looking at starting mid-November. And the thing that we have left to do is that there's some type of outlet that they need there for their steam table specific to it. And that was one of the holdups too, because we didn't have the finances to pay for it. They initially said that they didn't either, but now they've agreed to pay for it. So once we get that electrical outlet in, we're looking at probably mid-November for a start date. And we already put it on the Facebook just to let people know that it's coming. And the Opera House, it's going to be Monday through Friday. And the Opera House will at the lower level, and then it'll be available still for anybody else to rent after 1 o'clock. They said they'll be out and cleaned up by 1 o'clock each of those days.
And one of them that was brought up at the seniors get together Monday was with like the strong bone classes. Is that going to be effective?
We're working with them now, and they're communicating with each other. Right now, what the Strong Bones is proposing with the meal site group is that and with their participants, is that the Strong Bones either moves up their program to end before the meal site starts, or to postpone it later in the day to start up after the meal site is done, or to move upstairs, or to end it 2 weeks early. So those are the options that they're looking at, and they're contacting the people that participated in it and coordinating it with the meal site folks.
So this,
Go ahead.
this electrical outlet, that must be 220?
It's 110, but it's a funny shaped plug-in.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of getting a quote to do that. And once I get that quote, I'll forward that on to Allegheny County.
Yeah, we're just sending the quote directly to them and having them pay for it, so that, to make sure that it's covered and it's not coming out of the village coffers.
So all this confusion about who's who in this contract was really, we didn't really understand it to the beginning. That's all been cleared up?
We didn't understand it.
I mean, they refer to themselves as
Well, it's participant and provider.
a provider, okay.
So we're the provider, the village is providing this site. And so that did read right.
Okay.
There was a part of the contract, I forget what part though, that they had.
Was ambiguous.
Put something on us.
Yeah,
That was supposed to be on them, so they put that back on them.
There was insurance coverage and record
Yeah.
keeping.
Yeah, and then the last,
yeah.
and then the last part was, you would have them do some additional language to indemnify the village, because there was more liability on the village in the first draft of the
Well,
contract.
initially, that wasn't acceptable, so the indemnification now requires fault on our part.
So this, we don't realize any income from this. This is gratuity?
It's our in-kind contribution to the program.
Okay.
But it shouldn't cost us anything either, as well, other than
Utilities?
Maintenance, snow plowing.
I figure the in-kind to be 9,500 a year, because that'll be about half of the usage.
For utilities and plowing?
Utilities,
Garbage
farming,
pickup.
maintenance, garbage, chemicals, cleaners,
Cleaning
floods,
up,
everything.
okay.
And we might see an uptick in rentals, because there's more people going in now.
Any
That's
further
all I have.
questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to clerk treasurer.
The decision has been made on the election equipment for 2018, the cost with the discount the company is giving, and the very small trade-in for our current election machines is coming in under the previous estimate. So I will have to take less out of the reserve that I was going to be rating than I was in the beginning, and it's coming out to our benefit. The state has decided to decertify one of the pieces of equipment that we're currently using at the end of 2018 and requires special circumstances for dealing with it during 2018, so it's just as well that we're getting the new equipment. Then we won't have to deal with all of that. And we did get to see the equipment again this last week. We are going to be taking possession of the equipment in early December, and there will be training held in early January with a mock election in late January, ready to use it for the February primary.
Any questions for Lynn? Hearing none, we'll move on to Director of Public Works.
I just have a couple. The coping and other wall materials for the Memorial Square are done and should be delivered tomorrow. I have the mason showing up tomorrow as well to finish that installation. The industrial park paving project came in at $27,000 under the awarded quote or awarded bid, which is nice. It was $232 for everything, and it came in at $205. So considerable savings there. That's all I really have.
Great.
Yeah.
I've even driven on it once or twice.
Stay off of that.
Fast.
Bring it on.
But no, not with any large trucks, and I drive it a reason totally on.
You're doing a bypass.
It is kind of a racetrack now. I recommend the officers.
Not at 1 o'clock in the morning though.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Carl?
Are they gonna put yellow lines on that, or are they just gonna?
No, that was never part of the plan. Do you want yellow lines?
No, I was just curious. I mean, it looks nice.
It's all out there as an off. What the?
No, that was never the plan, because it's only
Just racing
25.
stripes?
I don't even like the yellow lines on the 25-mile-an-hour road out here, because it's just an added expense and continual maintenance.
I was just curious.
Yeah. So 35
So you mean no?
No, yeah. Not planning on it.
Any other questions for Carl? Hearing none, we'll move on to Police Department.
Nothing.
Library Director's not here. Attorney?
Nothing.
All right, I gotta just throw one more thing in there because I forgot about it when I was talking about all the grants. Jeannie, I thought you'd like this one, is I'm also writing one to see about recording equipment.
Oh,
I thought it's worth a try, so,
Yay.
for 2018.
that's good.
Building permit report is in your packet. Any questions or comments on that?
Nice increase for September.
Another multi-family.
we have a duplex and 2 residential
Single families,
family,
yeah.
and some others. We have nothing else on building report. Building permit reports will go to presentation of counts and other claims against the village.
The voucher list consists of deposit of payroll deductions, payment to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue for the amendment and creation fees for the TIDS, payment on 2 loans, vouchers number 24015 through 24053 in the amount of $93,479.81. Direct deposit payroll in the amount of $41,805.06. Water and sewer utility vouchers number 10163 through 10181 in the amount of $71,132.56.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Communication and miscellaneous business. Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District news.
We were supposed to have a meeting on Tuesday. We didn't have a quorum. There was only Craig and myself showed up. But we did, if you want to hand that to Diane, I think you asked for that last meeting. That's our proposal for our budget. It is staying the same as last year, including the EMS. And also, Diane sent me a grant information for State Farm. We're looking into that as well. Got my grant guys on.
Just so you know, because we're applying for it as well, and I asked Dan Gassner if I could put his name on it, and he said absolutely, since he's a State Farm agent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's who we're going to talk to, so.
Good.
Jack, is there a problem with getting a quorum going forward, or it's just a bad night?
Yeah, it was just happened to be that night, I think. Bill was out of town, the representative from the township of Hortonia, and I don't know where Bob was at, but.
Is that the first time that's really happened? Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions for Jack? Hearing none. Gold Cross ambulance run reports are in your packet. You have 2 months there.
And for news on that is the rate went down by 9 cents per capita. But the interesting part is that it almost was going to go up considerably because I think it was the city, I want to say it was the city of Wapaka, had initially asked Gold Cross for quotes on adding a rig to the consortium, and that would have increased it by, I think it was like over $100, right? Some very high amount per capita. And so the consortium as a whole, including the original city that requested it, said no. And they feel that there was going to be a substantial savings in response time. So that's why it was able to stay the same, a little bit 9 cents lower. So we have that number in, and that's accounted for in the budget.
Any other questions or comments on the ambulance runs? Hearing none, we don't have any citizens here for comments or suggestions, so our next thing is for adjournment.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?